Hello all. We want to continue our discussion here. We created a kind of simple spreadsheet and we talked about employees of this organization. And the book gets into the details of the assignments, details of this spreadsheet. And we want to talk about a few things that we didn't cover in our first lecture. One thing is key here is if I type two, for example, three in here, and I click enter, it drops me to the box below. How about if I don't want to be dropped to the box below, and I just type three, and I want this to be stay in this box, there is an enter button. This is called enter button. If I click on that, it doesn't drop me to the box below. It says right in there. That's one of the keys I wanted you to learn. Another one is that here we calculated the maximum number of children that one employee has, and that is 4. The way we calculated this 4 is let me delete this first, and by going to this auto sum by clicking on this arrow and clicking on max here. And then when I went here and I highlighted from here to here, but at the same time, you see a formula here, equal sign max parenthesis C4 colon C8 parenthesis closed. Therefore, I click enter. Now that I know that what kind of formula, you can see the same formula in here as you see max C4 all the way to C8. And I click enter, and number 4 is there. Now that I know the formula, I don't even need to go in here and click there. I can put my formula, and let's see it works without going here. I come here, I double click and put my equal sign, and I put max, and I open parentheses. I put my first cell, which is C4. And then I put column, means all the way through C8. And then I close parentheses. And here it is. I am hoping if I press enter, I can see number 4. Yes, it came. Therefore, instead of going here and looking for max, we can just put here. For average, we might be able to do the same thing. Let me click delete. And then I put my equal sign and I put average. And look at here, the average came. And then if I click here, double click, then I can put my C4 all the way through C8. Let me put it C4 colon C8, and then close parentheses. And that's true. Therefore, we can put formulas ourselves, or we can go in here and do the calculation. And therefore, that is another thing. I wanted to show you another number here. You all understood that this 10 is, if we ask how many children, the total number of children that the employees of Walmart have, that is 10. And if I want to know how many hours altogether worked, it is 54. And then gross pay that they get altogether is 940. One number strange here is that this number, as you see, came when we got the total. It added all these percentages. One question you might have is that what's the benefit of adding this percentage? That doesn't sound right. It doesn't give us any meaningful, number. You add percentages for what? And let me give you another example. You never see anybody adding social security of 1% to the another social security of another percent. You get something meaningless that doesn't have any value. One value we might be interested though is that the question would be, what is the average tax rate of our employees here at Walmart? This number makes sense. Therefore, we could get rid of this number. I could click delete, or I could somehow, I know that this is the tax rate for, that came out of a calculation by adding this plus this. Look at here, it says that G8 plus A8, this is G8 A8 H8 divided by 200. Therefore, if I copy this formula a little bit below, that means it is, if I look at this one, it says that add this one plus this one divided by this one, which is 20%, 23%. If you look at here, here is 22%. Therefore, you might be asking why there is a little difference in here, why this one is 23 and this is 22. One reason is that this is a kind of rounding. It has been rounded, the number. Therefore, just the goal was to, show you what is happening in here. One time I click on this tax rate, suppose I click on this Fed taxes, and if you see, if I double click, it tells me where the numbers are coming from. It shows that, did you see, if by double clicking, it verifies my formula, which is right here, 20% of what? 20% of my total income minus 10 times 4. Therefore, that's another way to verify the formula for the taxes. And also, we can make these things a kind of fancy. As you all know, sometimes we can go to our page layout, and we can give that, as we learned about Word and PowerPoint, I can click here and click on themes. If I choose this green one, do you see the color here change to green? However, I lost my higher date. I click undo. Just the goal was to show you how the themes can help us. And then we can go and even use apply cell styles. And I can go to Home tab and cell styles, and I can use the heading one. Look at here. For example, if I go here and I highlight here, and then I click on cell styles and choose, suppose, heading one. Look at how, this changed to this format. I click undo, for example, just what the goal was to show you how this works. Or you might say, why we don't have $sign in front of our net? Therefore, I can go and highlight these numbers and use $sign. Here we go. And each one has a $sign in front of it. Now you might say that you don't want pennies here, zeros. Is there any way we can get rid of these zeros? Maybe I right-clicked here and I click Format Cells. And because they are currencies, I click currency. And do you see number 2 here? These are means count to pennies. I don't want any pennies. I bring this to 0 and click OK. Therefore, as you see, the pennies disappear. And again, I can use other format of currency. If I right click here and click Format Cells, and suppose if I choose these red numbers, anytime I suppose we lose money, usually in accounting, it shows as red, or we can use proper formatting. For now, I leave the things that they are, the way they are. Now, one thing here, when I look at these numbers, is that some employees are making a kind of too much money. Imagine that we know that this employee, which is Donald Trump, and this one is Obama, and this one is Bush, they are making more money than Clinton and Sayed. Imagine that as the owner of the company of Walmart, I want to fire. Imagine that we don't make enough money. We want to fire every employee that makes over $150. Here, we don't fire Clinton because he makes $150. We don't fire Sayed, but we want to fire employees who make more than $50. How can we do that? How can we identify the employees of this company that make more than $150? Maybe I like to format them. I want to color them. Do you see here is written conditional formatting? I click there. I want to highlight these employees who make more than 50. And I'm going to come up with a new rule. And in this rule, I say that if the employee is making greater than 150, what do I want? I want the employee to be formatted. Formatted what? I want the employee to be painted with a color. What color I want the employee to get? A pink color means to fire them. Here you go. This is pink, for example. This is pink. And I click OK. And I click OK. And I click OK here. And look, the 3 employees here that are making greater than 50, they were formatted with the pink color. I could format them by making them bold. I could, therefore, I can use this, suppose, formatting for my class. Suppose I want to give a prize to any student who makes 100 in the exam. I can go and say any students who gets more than 99, make the color green, and suddenly all of the students who have made 100 in their tests, it's called the concept, it will be green. The concept is known as conditional formatting. That is, the book actually refers to that. And then sometimes imagine that this column, I want this to be wider, and I will hold on to the control key and I click on F column and I click on H column. I bundle them together by holding on to the control key. Now I bring the arrow to the corner between H and I. If I drag this one, do you see all three of them got bigger? Therefore wider, therefore I click on do. That's something that the book has gone through. We can change we can change the width of the column, and we can change the height of the rows. If I bring this one between 4 and 5, look, if I drag it down, do you see how rows can be changed? I will bring it back to where it was. We can do also spell check. Do you see here it is written EMP? Imagine that I misspelled employee here, and then I clicked enter. Let's see if I can go ahead and spell check. I can click on review spell and look at here. It is recommending to change it to employee, which I click change. Okay, it changed it, and I click okay. Do you want that? And then I don't want to check the rest of it. And then if I decide to look at, I can click on page layout. I can look at the margin, and I can make the margin narrow. I can change the orientation, portrait or landscape. And there are other things that I can do in terms of if I decide to print this page. And I know that it won't fit in one page. Do you see this line in here? That means that this part is going to go to the second page. What is my solution if I want to have all of these in one page? Maybe when I go to file, maybe when I go to print here, and maybe, do you see that I don't see the date that they have been hired? Therefore, I have different options. One is click here, and I can say that make it like a landscape, and I click OK. And do you see, as soon as I changed it to landscape, everything fit, I could fit that in one page. I can click page setup here, and I can change it back to portrait, and I can click OK. And then I do have other options in printing this. Here it says no scaling. That means I don't have anything to scale. However, if I click here, I can click fit on one page, which is great, because if the numbers are go all the way to the right, it's a huge page. Even a landscape or portrait might not help me. But by clicking on fit in one page, whatever I have typed, I might have 50 columns, all of them will fit in one page. And then I can print. And then I can go back here. And one last thing is that, as you all know, if I click here, you see a formula here. Therefore, there is a formula in this box. If I click here, there is a formula here. If I click here, there is a formula. But there is no formula here, because this is how many hours I worked. There is no formula here. There is not. How do I know I have formulas in these boxes? And which boxes have formulas? I know that this is the date, and then I know this is not a formula. Therefore, to see what kind of formulas I have, I am going to hold on to the control key and accent key. I'll tell you what accent key is. This shows me with any box that has a formula. Do you see the formula in those boxes are shown right in here? Therefore, this tells me that you have used formulas when doing your calculation. Again, I click on Control and accent key, and it goes back to normal. And accent key is usually in many computers, it is under escape key. It is on top left of your computer. It's just like a comma. If you look at your keyboard, like in the area where your escape is, and you will see a comma. If you hold on to Control and that key, hopefully it will show the formulas behind the scene. And this was the whole, concept behind about discussion about this Excel. Now, after this, we are going to go through the chapter through the chapter means that I am going to go through page by page of your book, and then to make sure that you understand And for this one, you need these two lectures that I made to create a class assignment. Now this lecture is over and I'll put another one.